Hey guys, welcome. I am Luca and I head up growth at KeeperHub. This also includes developer relations. And we have decided to partner with ETHGlobal for the Open Agents Hackathon. This is actually our first hackathon, so we are, of course, especially excited and equally as nervous. But what this means is we'll also be on our best behavior and we'll do our utmost to help you guys out in any way we can, and also just to be available to answer any sort of questions that you may have. The workshop today, the objective of it at least, is to give you the tools required to build on top of the infrastructure that is KeeperHub, but also hopefully give you guys the inspiration to do so as well. I'm going to make sure, or I'm going to try at least to keep this as tight as possible. But if you're interested in certain sections, you can also just head into the description below and click on the chapter timestamps to jump forward to areas that are relevant to what you're looking for. Let me start here in the hub. We're in the KeeperHub platform as we speak, and the hub is a section where you'll be able to kind of use it as a library of workflows. The workflows that you see here are templates that KeeperHub users have shared publicly with the community. So these can actually be copied over to your own environment, as I'll do with an example here. Let me go ahead and just type in Aave just to make it simple. And I'm going to use this workflow called Aave v3 cross-chain liquidation dashboard. I'm going to say use template. And what will happen now is it will duplicate it and then create it in my own private environment. And how to show that as well, you can see this is private, this is not shared. And that's exactly actually what the author of that workflow had done. They had decided that they wanted to share this one with the hub, with the rest of the community to be able to make use of it. Now, one thing worth flagging up front is, well, it matters for the hackathon, is authors of these workflows, they can also decide, to share these workflows to the hub, but they can also publish these workflows as strategies instead. And that's a button right next to it. It's Marketplace button, where you can list on Agent Marketplace. And what that means is you can then decide, that this workflow should be a strategy, and you can set a price on it. So the listed strategy doesn't actually end up on the hub directly because these steps are private. We don't want anyone just to copy this strategy. But the authors of the strategy can see it in the earnings window, which is right here. And other agents can also discover this workflow or this strategy and pay to run it. And the author will then consequently earn, and you'll have your earnings listed in this environment. So consider it a bit like a marketplace for on-chain strategies. And KeeperHub is the execution layer of that marketplace. This is a quite important distinction just to remember throughout the workshop today. Now, if I actually go back to the workflow example that we have here, I'm going to go ahead and press run. And what you'll see here is that this workflow will go ahead and run. So when an agent calls one of these, or if you run it yourself based on a Chrome-based trigger, KeeperHub will handle the transaction. It will handle retries, it will handle gas. So if there's exponential increase in gas costs, and it'll be able to do kind of retries over a specific period of time. It will also handle a simulation of the transaction. It will handle the signing. And as you can see here under the runs, the audit trail, being able to kind of see every single run and having all those steps listed for you to go ahead and actually be able to uncover. I'm showing you this up front because the rest of the workshop will then have this as a reference point. So this is what I mean when I will eventually say, what KeeperHub does. This is it. And hopefully by the end of the workshop, you'll understand, the surface area well enough to decide what you want to build over the next 9 days, and also what qualifies for the price track. So let's get into it. Before I explain KeeperHub in more detail, let me show you kind of where it fits into this agent stack. So at the top, we have these agent frameworks. We have LangGraph, OpenClaw, Eliza OS could also fit into here. This is kind of where the reasoning lives. Then we have the communication, MCP from Anthropic. We all know A2A from Google. And then we have identity and wallets. So ERC from Ethereum, 804 is a great one. Kind of being the identity layer, the reputable layer or registry for agents. Payments, X402, MPP, there's been a lot around them too the past few months. And finally, we then have the reliable execution layer, kind of where KeeperHub lies. And this is where I mentioned already previously, kind of retries, gas, simulation, SLAs, audit trail, making sure that you actually have the transaction land on chain. And that's, of course, as you can see here, the final box on chain settlement on EVM chains, layer 2s, etc. So the gap actually that we see in most agent stacks today is not so much the reasoning or the agent framework or the communication or even actually wallets now. It's actually that network congestion actually ends up killing your agent. This could be like a gas spike during a liquidation, and then your transaction sits in mempool, and then somebody else's lands. It could also be silent failures when your agent thinks the action actually succeeded but didn't, and then you don't really have any sort of audit trail or anything to kind of prove otherwise. So KeeperHub goes ahead and replaces that whole layer. The agent decides and KeeperHub executes, as simple as this. And if a transaction fails, we retry. If gas spikes, our engine adapts. You get an audit trail of every attempt, every revert reason, every gas price used, and also have the whole thing SLA backed. So that's the layer. Now let me tell you a little bit about the team behind KeeperHub. We already established that KeeperHub is the reliable execution layer for the on-chain economy, but we haven't really spoken much about the team. The team behind KeeperHub are all ex-Maker DevOps engineers, also known as, well, Sky Protocol now. We're also a globally distributed team, so we'll also be able to help you guys throughout all time zones during this hackathon. We've been running production layer keepers for the past 7 years. So we've been doing this way before like the whole term agent infrastructure was even a category. For you as a hacker, what that means is simple. KeeperHub is the default execution layer for agents operating on chain, and we want you to help us make it even more of a default. So we handle the parts that are hard to get right and catastrophic if you don't. Worth naming what KeeperHub is and isn't. It can be used, as you can see in the platform app.keeperhub.com. It can be used as a regular visual workflow builder, similar to kind of how you'd use N8N for on-chain ops. And plenty of users actually already use it as is today, and I highly recommend that you also play around with it in the same way. There's definitely a lot of use cases, and as we've already uncovered, templates in the hub that you can make use of. But we want to actually think of the long term, and that's where we're pointing you guys towards. And that is the frame of this hackathon. Consider this sort of as the infrastructure that agents call programmatically. The same way Turnkey is for wallets or Alchemy is for RPC, a component in this larger stack. And that's the direction that the hackathon will be focused on. Very quickly, before we get into the code, 3 places that I recommend bookmarking include 1, the KeeperHub channel in the ETHGlobal Discord. We'll be there 24/7. We have a globally distributed team, so we'll answer no matter the time. 2, the KeeperHub Discord community. We already have lots of material there that you can make use of. And 3, probably the most important, is our docs KeeperHub page. To make it a lot easier, we created this link tree here that you can make use of, so you can actually just bookmark that. That might make it a little bit easier, and that's just found at keeperhub.com/links. The primary interface is the MCP server, which is live today. If you prefer to write scripts from your terminal, then CLI server integration is also available. We also have X402 and MPP compatibilities in case you want to build a agent that is paying on chain. Quick note on wallets. If your agent needs a wallet for testing, we'd recommend using Agent Cache to give your agent a wallet. This is only for testing purposes, and we're of course not responsible for Agent Cache security, but it's easy and fast to get up and running. Let's head over to the documentation pages here. And you can always use the search function in the top right corner, and I'm just going to type in MCP. The MCP setup is very straightforward. You can find all the instructions needed here, and if you run into any questions, again, we're available, reach out to us. But once the MCP server is connected, the agent sees the full tools surface. and you'll see type schemas. So if you're using Eliza OS, AgentKit, LangChain, or whatever, anything that basically speaks MCP, the tools will show up natively. I want to give you guys like kind of a fast mental model of the surface. So let me just switch scenes here and pull up Claude. There it is. And what you see here is the KeeperHub MCP server connected to my Claude instance. And I can go ahead and see all the different schemas that are available. There are basically two types of interactions. We have direct execution, which is when an agent calls an execute protocol action or an execute contract call, and then KeeperHub goes ahead and lands that transaction. Retries, gas, sim, all handled, uses kind of for like reactive flows. And then we also have workflows, and this is a bit different from direct execution. Instead, now an agent calls create workflow or AI generate workflow and hands over trigger, conditions, and actions. KeeperHub then runs it continuously, and you can use this for like kind of recurring strategy, monitoring, anything that should keep running when the agent is asleep. Under both shapes, you have like the same primitives. So triggers like schedule, webhook, on-chain events, condition nodes, and then action nodes. And under the action nodes, you'd have every action that you'd expect, like ERC20 transfers, protocol-specific calls. I showed you the native ones earlier. So, Avis, Sky, Compound, etc., etc. And then, of course, if you have like anything arbitrary, you can use like execute contract call for that. Two things to internalize for the hackathon. One, this surface is pluggable. So protocols you care about that aren't first class yet, that's a plugin. Frameworks that don't speak KeeperHub clearly yet or cleanly yet, that's a wrapper. And then, of course, missing developer primitives, that's a contribution. And then two, when you hear me say workflow, I mean the artifact that KeeperHub actually runs. So I don't mean something you build as your part of your hackathon project. You'll hand us the integrations and features, and KeeperHub actually runs the workflows. So yeah, we're getting there slowly and steadily. Quick demo so that I can actually show you guys this in motion. I'm going to use Claude here with the KeeperHub MCP server connected. This same logic applies if you were to use an autonomous agent, basically anything that speaks MCP. The use case that I'm going to use is an agent watches an ERC 4626 vault and deposits idle USDC from a treasury wallet whenever utilization drops below a threshold. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in the intent, and actually we'll paste it in because I have it copied. And what will happen here is when I press let's go, let me open up the thread here, then Claude uses the MCP tools that I showed earlier, and we watch the workflow show up in KeeperHub. Obviously, you can see here it will need a few details that I didn't share ahead of this, and it will take me through it. Obviously, first things first, which vault protocol is this for? RV3 I didn't specify, and I wanted this to run on Ethereum mainnet, and I want them to use placeholders for the treasury wallets. Now what will happen is this agent calls the AI generate workflow tool, and then the create workflow tool, and workflows will then render in the KeeperHub canvas with cron triggers, condition nodes, approval node, deposit nodes, and then also Discord notification node. But let's skip this section instead of just waiting around, and we'll jump directly into the app. All right, we're back in the app now. And as you can see, we have this nice little nifty workflow created. This is a cron-based workflow that runs on a schedule every hour. We have a condition here that checks the vault utilization from here, which is a code-based node. And then we have approval for the ERC 4626 contract, a deposit action, and of course then a Discord notification here once completed. You might have noticed when I was clicking through these that we have placeholder addresses for your treasury wallet, and this is just for the sake of the demo. So obviously, this would be listed with real addresses instead. And as all of this took about 40 seconds from the intention to actually having a live workflow. And I would say that there's probably two things that you want to take away from it. You might take away more things, but two main ones is that first, this is what the KeeperHub user experience is today. This is your baseline. Secondly, every node here, every graph, every action type, every protocol integration, every framework connection is something we've built, which brings us to actually what we would love to see from you guys. All right, 9 days, and here's what we hope to see. We're not looking for agents that use KeeperHub as a black box per se. We're looking for contributions to KeeperHub itself. So things we can merge, adopt, or ship to every KeeperHub user after May 3rd. Three directions that you can take inspiration from. A new protocol or chain integration. So this is potentially, I would say, the biggest bucket because there's so many different options here, but pick up potentially a protocol that we don't support as a first class integration yet, or improve an existing one. It could be a lending market, a perps venue, a liquid staking protocol bridge, a risk staking primitive. Yeah, there's lots of different ones. We already support lots. So take inspiration from that and see what there is, but build the plugin, workflow nodes for its core operations. Then there's also the second direction that you could also take, framework integrations. Here, think about like, OpenClaw, Eliza OS, LangChain, anything in the agent framework space, and a clean KeeperHub plugin tool wrapper for that framework. So builders using that framework get KeeperHub natively without having to write like glue code in between. A winning submission here is something we could actually adopt as an official integration. Then, of course, there's another wide bucket, and that is just generally any sort of new features or developer tooling inside of KeeperHub. Think about, workflow nodes that we don't support yet, better simulation debugging, observability, testing harnesses, improvements to the MCP server itself, better new user onboarding. This is always a very big one, UX and in Web3, everyone's kryptonite. But like, let's say if you've hit a friction point in using KeeperHub yourself this week, that friction point can actually go ahead and be a contribution opportunity. Yeah, and maybe one specific call out inside this bucket could also be a great fit for this hackathon is at the start of this video, I showed you a published workflow in the hub, but then also I showed you listing a strategy with a price attached. So a clean contribution here could also be wiring that up to the open agent economy, like wrap a published workflow in an ERC 804 registration so that any agent on that network can discover it, expose that call behind like X402 or MPP as a payment rail, and then make sure that you post reputation back on chain that after every run. And then all of a sudden you kind of have KeeperHub as the sort of evidence layer, and that agent can be found anywhere to pay and actually go ahead and execute said strategy. So that's also a potential project that we would want to see. But again, I don't want to put too many sort of restrictions. We are quite open-ended here, and that's also why I have a price page open where you can see everything broken down. But if you're in doubt as well, feel free to reach out to us. I've mentioned a few times now, but we'll be in the ETHGlobal Discord channel. We'll be in our own channel. We'll be in Telegram, X, wherever you want to write to us. We'll be there all 9 days. And let me also wrap up maybe by apologizing. At the start of this video, I said I'll be super tight and keep this as short as possible. Well, I kind of tried to do that, but I've already broken that promise, so apologies. But if you did make it this far, thank you very much for staying for the ride. I hope this was useful. And if you have, again, I'll say it one final time, if you do have any questions or anything that wasn't answered, reach out to us before the hackathon even starts or during the hackathon, whenever you're watching this video. But thank you a lot, and best of luck to everyone building. And we really appreciate you guys, contributing and taking the time out of your day to do this.